Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about the GTNxi by TDS Sim. First of all, thanks to the TDS Sim team for sending me this add-on for review, and thanks to the team for also answering all my questions on Discord. This video is only going to be a brief look at this add-on. There's obviously a 1000+ page manual that you get with it. You can always go ahead and review it and use it at its best potential. Now we will obviously be doing several flights on the channel going forward with this add-on, so make sure you stick around for that. If you're enjoying this content on my channel, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. I work full-time, I study part-time, and then I make these videos in the remaining time. It takes a lot of effort, so I really appreciate everyone who comments, likes, and subscribes to the channel to show their support. Thank you to all the current subscribers. I've seen a lot of new subscribers coming in, so welcome all, and thank you for clicking that subscribe button. Now, without any further ado, let's start the content part. First of all, let's talk about which aircrafts currently have the full virtual cockpit integration. So you can already see that the Aero, Turbo Aero 3, Aero 4 and Warrior 2, all the Just Flight Aeros have the full VC integration already available, and you don't have to do anything on that. Just install this mod like you'll see in the installation section of this video, and then you can just choose the GTNxi module from the tablet tool that you have inside the aircraft. For all the default aircrafts that are listed here, you can simply hit download, and after you have downloaded the zip file, you can extract that inside your community folder. You select the folder and extract all the content there. You'll see that you will have the TDS GTNxi C172 SP. Now if you load any of the C172 with G1000, it will replace the G1000 MFD multifunction display with the GTN750xi. So that's how you do it for all the other aircrafts as well. Alright, so let's go over the add-on installation first. So once you go to the TDS Sim website and log into your account, as long as you have the GTNxi purchased, you will have the TDS GPS Manager download link right here. You click on that and you download the Manager installer. Once that is done, you can go to the downloads page, double click on that, and that will open up your installer window. You log into the same account that you've used for the TDS Sim website, and that'll give you an option to install the PC Trainer and the Flight Simulator link. So you can go ahead and install the GTNxi PC Trainer first, and then hit download and install on the section here which says TDS GTNxi. Once you hit the download and install button here, you will see this icon here pop up on the desktop. You will have to keep this running before you run the sim for GTNxi to show up on your airplanes. So that's it for the installation. Quite simple and straightforward. Now once you open the GTNxi window, it will look something like this. So you have the GTN750xi as unit 1, which will appear on the left side of the cockpit, and then you have the 650xi which will appear on the right of the cockpit, depending on what airplane you're obviously talking about. And you can change the cycle navigation source from unit 1, unit 2, or to Flight Simulator. I usually just keep it to either Flight Simulator or unit 1. It has detected that the Flight Simulator is not running. Once you have it running, it will show up that Flight Simulator running and connected. So that's it for the installation part. I will be right back when I'm in the sim. Now let's look at the performance. You will see that there is give or take about 6 to 7 FPS loss when you have the GTNxi module running in the background. Now this is mostly MSFS problem because MSFS doesn't support multi-threading for WASM. WASM I think is WebAssembly module. So whenever you have something external running like this, MSFS doesn't support multi-threading for that, and that is promised to be changed this year. So this problem is going to go away, and TDS Sim has also been working consistently on improving the performance as we go. So obviously there'll be improvements from both the sides, but even with the current loss that I see, I think it's worth it on GA airplanes to trade off about 6 to 7 FPS to get the functionality that you get from this module. Now once you have everything loaded in, this is how the module will look like. You'll have to press the continue button a few times and here you are. You will be on the home page. Now let's start looking at this module from the top. So I'll discuss the top panel here first, which takes care of your communication and navigation, and it also has the transponder. So let's start from the far left. So we have a knob here which controls the comms volume, and when you press that knob, it'll activate squelch. Squelch is something that is used in two-way radio communication, where it'll mute the channel when there's nothing on it, so that you don't get that constant noise or hissing on that channel. So that's what SQ button does. Now on the top you have the active COM1 frequency, and on the bottom you have the standby COM1 frequency. If you want to change to a certain frequency, you can select the standby frequency, you can enter whatever frequency you want, and then you can either hit XFER, which will directly put it on the active frequency, or you can hit enter, which will put it on the standby frequency, and then you can swap it whenever you want. And you can swap the frequencies by clicking on the active frequency. There's another really useful function here, which is the find function. So let's say I want to find the SEZ Unicom or SEZ approach or departure frequency. So I hit find, I go to the nearest airport, which obviously will be Sedona for me. I hit the multiple frequency button, and it'll give me all the options that are present. So if I want to tune to the departure frequency, all I have to do is click on it and choose whether I want it to be active or on standby. So let's say I want it to be on active, it will directly put the departure frequency for me on active. Next we have the intercom and audio panel. So let's go over the intercom first, since that is easy. Intercom you won't be using in the sim, but this basically controls the volume of music, volume of your telephone, and communications inside the cockpit. Pilot to co-pilot, pilot to passenger, co-pilot to passenger, all of these volumes and squelching can be set here. Not very useful for simulators. Now let's look at the audio panel. So if you click on audio panel, you'll have all of these controls show up. There's split mode, playback controls, cabin speaker, speaker volume, marker audio, high sense, marker volume, and 3D audio. I keep 3D audio and marker audio on so that when marker audio is on, I'll be able to hear the outer marker, middle marker, and inner marker where I'm coming in for a landing. Split mode basically means that you can monitor different comm frequencies if you want on pilot and co-pilot radios. If you have the split mode off, you will be monitoring the same frequency. Now the next set of buttons that you have is for mic and monitoring. So you can quickly click on these buttons and you can switch to which frequency you want to monitor and transmit. So let's say on COM1 I'm tuned into approach, and on COM2 I'm tuned into the CTR frequency. So when the approach pushes me to the CTR frequency, I can quickly just hit this mic button and the monitor button to switch to COM2 frequency, which will be my CTR frequency. I won't have to tune the frequencies in at that point and swap them around while I'm flying the airplane. So this makes it really easy to quickly shift frequencies. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, and 4 frequencies to cycle through really quickly while you are trying to get through the flows, and while you're trying to actually fly the airplane. You don't have to worry about these frequency switchings and whether you're transmitting to the right frequency. You can always just push a button and switch to whatever frequency you want, as long as you have all of those obviously tuned in here. Next is the transponder. If you click on this, you can change your squawk code from here. So let's say 1256, and what I can do is I can also change the modes from here. Right now it's on standby, but I can put it on altitude reporting whenever I want, or whenever the ATC tells me to, and then I can hit enter and it'll change my squawk code. If I want to squawk VFR really quickly, I can just hit this VFR button and it will directly squawk 1200 for me, and I can hit enter so that it'll fill it out. Now let me show you the ident feature. So I'll turn it on for a second and hit enter. So now when the ATC tells you to ident, you can click this button right here and it will show up a green ID symbol here, which means that you have just idented. On the rightmost side, you have the nav frequency tuning options. So works very similar to the comm frequency tuning that we talked about. You can manually choose the frequency, type it in, and hit XFER or enter, or you can hit the find button and search for the frequencies through the nearest page here. Let's say I want to tune in ILS 03 from Grand Canyon National Park Airport. So I'll click on that. I'll choose whether I want to go standby or active on that. I want to go standby. So that'll populate the 108.9 ILS3 frequency on standby. Again, I can swap it easily by just clicking on the active frequency. So very easy to use. The top panel is extremely intuitive and useful. Now let's start looking at all the other options that we have in the home page. First one is maps, and you can navigate from maps to pretty much all of these, and I'll show you how. But let's look at the maps first. So when you click on maps, you'll be able to see your current location first of all, and you can zoom in and out using these zoom in and zoom out buttons on the bottom right. On the top left here, you have DTK, which is your desired track. So if you have a flight plan in, it'll show you which track you need to fly in order to point towards the next waypoint. On the top right here, you have your current track, which is 307. And you can also verify that from the horizontal situation indicator here, which is also showing about 307. That's your current track. On the bottom right, you have the scale of the map, current scale of the map. So this distance is equal to 2,500 feet. So our runway would be about 5,000 feet, it seems. So that's how you do that quick calculation if you want to calculate how far a certain point is on the map from another point. As you zoom out, you'll see that the same distance now covers a lot more actual distance. So now the same distance on the map is about 2.5 miles. So Fettin to LOMBB would be about 2.5 miles. So that's that, and the NM, it shows up blank here, but if you have a waypoint tuned in, the next waypoint, it will show you the distance from the next waypoint. That's this right here. And on the bottom left, you have your ground speed. You can drag the map around by just holding the left mouse button and dragging your mouse. So it works just like an iPad. Besides these zoom buttons, you have the CDI button, which will switch your source from navigation to GPS and vice versa. You can see that this switch operates along with it. Now, top of that, you have the flight plan. So if you click on this window, you will see your flight plan right here. Currently we are at Sedona, so that is already populated. If you want to add a new waypoint, you can click on add waypoint. So let's say I want to add LOMBB to my flight plan. I can click on add waypoint and I can type LO, and your nearest waypoint will show up right here. So I can click on LOMBB here and it will add that to my flight plan. So if I go back on the map, I can now see an active leg going from Sedona to LOMBB. Whichever leg is pink is the active leg. So you have to fly that leg right now, and then the next leg will become active when you hit the LOMBB waypoint. Now there's also another way of adding waypoints to the flight plan, and that is by graphically editing flight plan. So when you click on the map, you'll get this option called graphically edit flight plan. When you hit on that, you can select whichever waypoint you want to go to next, which is, let's say for me, it's Fettin. So that'll create a straight line route from LOMBB to Fettin. I can either undo it or I can click done, which will add the next waypoint to my flight plan. Very easy to use. I love these features that lets me plan out the route right here. Now let's say I want to create a new waypoint, but it's not in the database. This will be a user waypoint that I want to fly to. So let's say I want to fly to the big park, right? So you can see that you can move this cursor anywhere on the map, wherever you click. So I will click on big park here, and then I'll hit create waypoint. It'll let me choose the user identifier, which I can name this as BIGPK, and I'll hit enter. It'll let me add any comments if I want to. It will also automatically choose the reference waypoint, the radial from that waypoint, and the distance from that waypoint, which is completely fine. I don't want to change that. Then you can choose whether the waypoint is temporary or permanent. If it's permanent, it will be saved in your module. I'm going to hit temporary for now because I don't want it saved. And then I'll hit create, which will create this big park waypoint. So let's say from Fettin, I want to take a sharp left turn and go to big park. So what I can do now is hit graphically edit flight plan and then choose big park. So that'll create a route from Fettin to big park. and then I hit done, it will add this to my flight plan. So that's how you graphically edit flight plan. That's how you edit flight plan through this window right here. And that's how you add a user waypoint and edit the flight plan. Multiple ways of doing the same thing and extremely intuitive. The last thing to look at on the maps page is the menu button. So here it'll let you choose whether you want to view the terrain on this map or not. So if you click on terrain, it'll show up the terrain data on your map right here. So whatever is red is basically above your current altitude, so you'll run into it if you keep flying at the same altitude. That's what it means. And then if you go to menu and you disable topo, then you will not see any elevation or any kind of ground information. I like to keep topo on so that I just know what the texture of the ground is in the area I'm flying at. You can also enable or disable charts. When you have charts, it can show up on the map here. I usually keep it on, but it's not really useful for me because I use Navigraph charts externally. So doesn't matter, you can keep it on or off. Traffic, whether you want to view the traffic on this map or not, you can enable or disable it. When you're flying on VATSIM, I usually keep it enabled so that I can see right here on the map where everyone else is flying at. And then airways, since we are flying a Piper Aero 3, I would keep it at low. If you'd be flying a turbojet, I would probably switch to high or all, but I don't want a lot of information on the map, so I'll keep it to low for now. Another slider that you have here is the map detail. So when you go lower on the map detail, let me first zoom out so that we can actually see what's happening. So you see these airspaces marked out, right? Now as you go lower on the detail, the airspaces would disappear. And as you go even lower on the detail, you'll see that the nearest airports would also disappear. There was an airport right here when we had the detail up, which has now gone, KFLG. See that? I usually like to keep it to most because airspace information is always important. Then there is change user fields option. So when you click on change user fields, you can change what these 4 windows are showing you. So let's say I don't want to view the ground speed here. I want to view the current time. So I can change that to current time. So it's helpful. Different pilots have different choices of what they want to see. I like the default setting, honestly, because it gives a lot of information about where I'm flying, at what speed I'm flying, and all of it. So I keep it at default, but you can always remember that you can always go and change what you want to view in these 4 corners. Then the last button is map setup. This is again a lot of detail on what you want to view on the map, how far up you want to view those things on the map, things like that. I'm not going to go over all of them, but understand that this is just all kind of ranges on what you want to view on the map up to what distance. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and mess with these settings. There's more land settings here, road detail. You can increase the road detail, you can increase the city detail, river or lake detail, all of that. I usually just keep it all at default. It works just fine. So that is it for the whole map page here. Now there is a knob which will allow you to quickly switch to flight plan page, quickly switch to traffic, terrain, your SXM weather, obviously it doesn't matter here, and your nearest airports. And these are the same pages that you would go to if you click on the buttons here. So let's say traffic, terrain, weather, we already saw those from the map page, right? There's flight plan, there's traffic, there's terrain, there's weather, and then there's nearest. I think we have covered the whole first line. Now let's go over the charts window here. So once you click on charts, you will see this window pop up where you'll have 4 options. One is the airport information, the approaches, departures, and arrivals. And for each of those, you'll have multiple charts to choose from, whichever you want to view from this button right here. So we are right now at Sedona, so that airport is selected. You can change the airport from here. You can find the charts for the nearest airport or enter your own airport on the keypad here and press enter, and that'll get you the charts for that particular airport. Let's try looking for the nearest airport. Let's see. I'm going to look for KGCN. So I'll click on that and I'll now have all the charts for the Grand Canyon National Park. Again, airport information, you have airport diagrams, takeoff minimums, alternate minimums. You can view whichever chart you want to view by clicking on this info button and choosing the chart. Same way for the approach. If you click on the approach button right here, you will have different options to choose on all the approaches that you would have at that particular airport that you've selected. Same way for the departures and for the arrivals. I don't have any arrivals for this airport, but you get what I'm saying. Airport info will have all the information about the airport in one window: the elevation, time zone, fuel that's available. You can also go to the weather data. Once that is integrated, you'll also have your meta report and the weather data right here. You'll have runway information here, taxiway information here, procedures, all the approaches available right here. Preview, again, this just shows the airport on your map along with the taxiways labeled and all the frequencies that you can tune in at that airport. So I think that is it for the charts window. You can zoom in and out of the charts by these buttons. Again, you can view the charts on full screen by hitting the full screen button here, and you can go back to the split screen by re-clicking on it. Now, I personally don't use charts from here. You'll only have charts for North America and the Garmin equipment that you're seeing here. I usually use the Navigraph charts because I have that for throughout the world, and it's a bit hard to zoom into these charts and find what I'm trying to find. It's very easy for me to just open this Navigraph window here and load up all my charts right here. Now, I don't know if there is Navigraph integration coming in with the TDS Sim GTN 750, 650, but for now you can always use Navigraph. If you don't have Navigraph subscription, you can use these charts. They're available for North America. You won't have them for Europe, but there are multiple websites where you can find these charts, so it's not a big deal. Now, going back to the flight plan page, we have already looked at this page before, and I think you guys should be pretty thorough with how to add waypoints, how to add the nearest airports to the plan, how to create your own waypoints, etc., etc. Now let's look at the procedures page. So once you have your departure airport set, you can choose the departure procedure here. Here there's only one available, which is OATES1. You can choose your runway for takeoff and your transition. So let's say I want to take off from runway 21. I'll be able to choose my departure from this button and my transition from this button. Now when I click, it shows a preview of the departure on the map right here, and it also shows me which waypoints I'll be flying in and out of if I choose this departure. So you can kind of preview your departure here already, both in terms of looking at it on the map and also in a detailed listing format. Now when you hit load departure, that will load it into your flight plan, which you can view here on the flight plan page. So now if you go back on the map, you will be able to see your full departure all planned out on the map. Now let's look at the nearest button. So if you click on the nearest button, you'll see all of these options. So you can fly to the nearest airport, intersection, VUR, VRP, NDB, user waypoint, and airspace. You can select to fly to any of these by simply clicking on them and selecting which one you want to fly to. I'll demo it on one of the airports. So let's go to the airport menu here. Let's say I want to fly to KFLG, and then you click procedures and you choose which runway and which procedure you want to fly. You can choose from any of these. So let's say I want to fly the RNAV GPS 03 approach. Now it will show me how it will look like on the map, and it will also show me how my flight plan is going to look like here. You can drag and view the flight plan here. Again, very nice feature that makes everything really easy to look at. Now I have already selected the approach here, transition vectors. I don't have any transitions, so I'll just be getting vectors, but I can choose a transition, let's say OATES, because that's my last waypoint on my departure. So let me go ahead and choose that. And now if I just load the approach and activate it, it is going to go right into my flight plan. So if I go back to the maps page and try to view my flight plan, I am going to be able to see the whole flight plan right here. So now I'm going to demonstrate something really quick here. Let's say I can view this flight plan that we just created right here, but I made a small change. I removed OATES so that I can demonstrate this to you. I don't want to pass through the airport again. Instead, I want to go from Zabus to OATES and then go to SESKI. So if I want to do that, I can go back to the flight plan window here and then go to the waypoint after which I want to add OATES. Click on it, which is Zabus, and then just hit insert after. That'll allow me to type OA, and it's already up here in the fast find. So I'll click on that and it gets added to the flight plan after Zabus. So now if you view the flight plan, we're taking off, going to Fettin, Hammered, Zabus, OATES, no more crossing the airport, and SESKI, and to the runway 03 approach on the airport we are going to. So just wanted to show that to you. You can quickly and easily add any waypoints before or after any waypoints that are already there in the flight plan. And you can also easily remove them by just clicking on it and hitting remove here. You'll see that when we selected the approach, what it has also done for us is selected the missed approach path. So in case we have to fly the missed approach, it already has that planned here. So we'll go to Townie and we will be holding there until we get further instructions from the ATC. So that's really neat. It has already followed the missed approach procedure that would have been published on that RNAV approach chart for runway 03 at this airport. So just wanted to point that out, that it does all of that for you, and you can go ahead and always edit any of it in your flight plan right here. Next is the waypoint info button, where again we have seen this before. You can just click on any you can look for any VOR or any airport or whatever you want to look for and get all the information you need for that particular navigation aid. Same way for the airport, if you click on it, we have seen this before. You can view the procedures, you can preview the airport, taxiways, you can look at the weather whenever that's available and the basic information that you would have for that airport, and you can also directly view the charts here. So now I'm going to show you a neat little feature that we have in the GTN 750. So let's say my engine fails. Let's assume that the engine has failed right now. What I can quickly do is go back, go to the emergency page and activate the smart glide feature here. So when I activate the smart glide feature, it is going to show me a yellow area on the map, which is the range that I can glide to at my current speed. So you'll see that as our speed increases, the gliding range will also increase. See that? And as I decrease my speed, pulling back on the throttle here, you'll see that our gliding range will start to narrow down, which makes sense. At less speeds, I won't be able to go as far on the ground just by gliding, right? And it also shows that there's no airport in range, which means there is no airport in the gliding range, which is this yellow circle. So that means you'll have to find a place to land somewhere. And if you have the terrain and topo on your map, you can probably find some flat place to land if your engine goes down. It also shows you how high you are from the ground, so it shows you your AGL on your face right here, so that you're not running into terrain even at night. And if it does detect any terrain that you might run into, it'll give you a clear warning of terrain ahead of you. So I think that is it for this video. It went a little longer than I had expected. It is a 30-minute long video, but we have still probably not covered a lot of the features that are present in the GTN 750 and 650. So we'll definitely be exploring it more and more as we fly on this channel. So stick around for those videos. I'm definitely going to be making more videos with these modules. It does come with a 1000-page manual, so you can dive into the depths and start exploring it yourself. I'm going to leave a link to the add-on in the description down below so that you can go ahead and check it out yourself. I do not get any commission or cut from that link. This is just for your easy access and nothing else. I'm going to end it here. Thank you all for watching the video. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Like I said before, it takes a lot of effort to make these videos for free, so make sure you leave a like. It's highly appreciated. Leave a subscribe if you think this content is what you'd like to stay connected with, and I will see you on the next video.